Jordan Peterson, The Secret About Man. I'm looking forward to listen to this advice regarding The Secret About Man. I think he might go in the area of inspiration or you know what really motivation means, what really inspires men, or what kind of individuals are we in a more biological sense. He always leave me with a nice sense of presence. So I'm looking forward to see what he had to say. Jordan Peterson, The Secret About Man.
Men use the image of female perfection to motivate themselves. And that's exactly right. That's precisely what they do. You see that in the Tom Sawyer story. So Tom Sawyer is about 12 years old, and he's still hanging around with his friends like Huck Finn. And this girl moves across the street, Becky, and she comes out, and he's struck by her for the first time in his life. Something's changed. And the first thing he does is hop up on a picket fence and show off and balance in front of her. And he's saying, well, look at me, look at me. He's like the male bowerbird building something beautiful so the female will approve of it. And it's motivation.
Interesting.
You know, and that's something that I think modern women don't really understand about men. They don't understand that, at least to the degree that males are uncorrupted and not bitter because of being rejected, they're doing everything they can to kneel before the eternal image of the feminine.
That's why when men put females in pedestal, that's why they're very weak. I know where he's going with, and we have this in us, but that's like the little demon that we have to confront, and we have to check ourselves.
And try to make themselves worthy. That's the chivalry story, right? That's what you should encourage in your partner. So out of chaos emerges this first form. It's the feminine form. It's partly the form that represents novelty as such. So, and on one hand it's promise, on the other hand it's threat. That you wouldn't believe, and I don't know, because I don't know, I don't understand the situation with women as well as I understand the situation with men, obviously being a man.
Yeah. But
I don't know if women have any idea how paralyzing they are to, especially young men. A very large number of my clinical clients, but also young men I've talked to in general, are absolutely terrified of women because they're terrified of being rejected. And the terror exists in precise proportion to the retraction to the woman, which is a horrible.
Rejection is something that we all have overcome, but man is something that we always thinking about. Well, we have to confront it. When I used to do pickleball artists back in the day, I remember approaching 20, 25 females a day, man, and I will feel horrendous by the end of the night, drained, but the next day I will feel a little bit more taller, right? I mean, the rejection part, it comes down to tribes. Rejection means you getting out of the tribe. Now you're going to just build your own tribe. You're exposed to the elements. You might get killed by the elements, right? Or another tribe will go and kill you. That's a lot of reasons why rejection really hurts. Especially females, the rejection, they'll go to the next level, right? They're not in that world. That's why they have the power to reject, not to be rejected. And we thrive as men when rejection, failure. That's what gives us fuel in a weird way to keep moving forward. And the more we move forward through those rejections, the taller we become.
Horrible paradoxical situation to be in. It's often why men make such fools of themselves in front of women that they're attracted to. It's because, first of all, they don't see the woman that they're attracted to. Because what the hell do they know about her? They don't see her as an individual. They see her as the manifestation of a judgmental ideal. And then it's only in establishing the relationship with the actual woman that they can start differentiating between the judgmental ideal and the actual individual woman. And that also requires a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is, you never can have an ideal woman. So to have a relationship with any woman, you have to sacrifice the relationship with the ideal woman, and you have to see the individual woman
Interesting.
and separate her from the ideal. And that's the same thing that happens to the hero in Sleeping Beauty, right? He sees the evil queen who actually turns into the dragon of chaos. And it's not until he can defeat her that...
But who's the dragon? Who's that lady? Is the image of your mom? You see where I'm going with this? I think that ideal dragon or that bad female is your mom. And you have to defeat your mom. Metaphorically, of course.
That he can establish a relationship with the actual princess. And that's exactly the case. I had one of my clients who ran this men's group, which was quite interesting. One of the things they had the initiates do, which was very intelligent, was to go out and ask 50 women in one day for their phone numbers. Why? Politely, properly, you know. It was a game, but it wasn't a stupid game. And the idea was, get over your fear of rejection.
Yep.
And how do you do that? By encountering it continually and continually and continually.
It never goes away, but you get used to it.
Paralyzed by this. The degree to which the terrible part of the world manifests itself in your life is proportionate to how insufficient you are. And we don't know the full extent of that. If you got your act together completely, maybe all the suffering would disappear from your life. Or at least maybe all the unbearable suffering. And maybe all the suffering or the unbearable suffering from the lives of people around you too. And you already know that because there are people that you'll go to in a crisis that you can rely on, and you know they'll help you. And you wonder what the world would be like if you were like that and everyone else was like that too. We'd have a lot fewer crises, and the ones that we do have would be a lot more manageable. And so when people say, well, why is the world so rife with suffering? One answer to that is because we're not yet what we could be. And at least that's an answer that we have some control over, right? You're not going to negotiate directly with Mother Nature, but you might be able to put yourself together a little bit and see if that works. At least it's under your control. Well, here's the decomposition of the fundamental.
There's a lot of snippets here, man. For those that haven't gone through a process like this, you guys don't understand it. But I did this kind of work in my life for years. And I was quite average. I was not as good, right? I would just, if I approached, 10 or 15 females in a day, I probably will get like 8 to 7 phone numbers. Closing rate, horrendous. No closing rate, almost nothing. But, for my purpose of confidence, because I was a very shy guy. Approaching 50 women in one day. And getting their number, excuse me. Very important. If you don't want to do it with women, do it with sales. Cold calling. And you will see how much your confidence and your character will improve. Because you are always confronting that which is rejection.
Mental archetype. The dragon of chaos differentiates on the one hand into the feminine, that's the unknown, and the feminine differentiates further into the negative feminine and the positive feminine. The negative feminine is the reason for witch hunts. It's the reason for,
chaos as well.
There's a whole group online called Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW. That's a very interesting group to go study. There's lots of them. I don't know how many of them there are, and most of them are older. Many of them are men who've been through a particularly horrifying divorce for one reason or another.
That's another one.
And
that's another topic.
They've had enough of women. So they tell the young men that they're teaching, never have a permanent relationship. Never share your territory with a woman. Never share your possessions. Make sure you never live together, and don't stay with one long enough to enter a common law relationship, because you will be stripped of everything that you have. The female has been manifested in their life only as the negative archetype, and they've got that confused with all women. And that's partly, you got to ask yourself, if you know the mythological stories, maybe if you made the right sacrifices, you wouldn't have so much trouble with women. It's a good question to ask yourself first. And I would also say, if you're a woman who has trouble with men, or you're a man who has trouble with women, it's not the women and it's not the men, it's you. Because the women are telling you what's wrong with you, and the men are telling you what's wrong with you.
Damn, that's a good point. That's a good point. Instead of just looking at that person and pointing, I'm not saying there's problems. There's a lot of problems. But first, you have to look at what the hell you're doing wrong that you're always following, or you're falling in the same hole. If you're falling the same hole, maybe it's because you're not looking down. You're not looking where you're going. Instead of just pointing someone else, it's time to look at yourself and say, okay, let me see what the hell am I doing wrong. Maybe I can fix certain things.
And if you don't listen, then it's you. It's either you or all men. Well, that's easy. It's all men. Well, that's certainly how it's played out in the world right now. It's like, no, it's not all men. You can be by definition. By definition. And it's not all women, that's for sure. I don't want to have anything to do with women. It's like you're a pathetic weasel. That's the same statement.
Oh, wow, he went down there. Ooh, pathetic weasel. Ooh. I don't know if I agree with that, but he went there. He's told them there were pathetic weasels, I guess.
To do with women. It's like you're a pathetic weasel. That's the same statement.
Oh. It's not me, I guess. Yeah, it's not me. Alright. Okay, wow. Wow. See, now that's the end of the video. Very good snippets. I will just go a little bit deeper in that regard. I think a lot of guys have problem with females as well, because they have problem with their own moms. They cannot tell their mom the truth. They cannot tell them right in their face. I think that one that really speak about this very clearly, his name is Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he really goes deep into why it's important for you to confront your mom. And your mom is just it's the energy that always remind you about the trauma as a kid. So in order for you to flourish above being a kid, is going to your mom and just not apologizing, but forgive her for you feeling resentment against her. And that will be something very interesting for you guys to do. But it's true about that. That in itself, you pedestalizing the feminine ideal, because your mom is always telling you that she's the nice in the relationship between you and your father, but you don't understand what is going on between them. But you don't realize that she has a lot of faults as well for them fighting, and she will never tell you the her side of the story, how bad she was. Your father might, but your mom never, right? And then you're not understanding these relationships. But for you to overcome that, it'll be good to understand why it's important for you to forgive that side of your, let's call it trauma life, right? Traumatic life. As a man, yes, we tend to be very inspirational, no, with the image of the female. That's why when we feel very down, we like to do some artistic work. We become poetic, composers, all stuff, right? Because there's an energy to it that makes you inspirational, which is wrong in a sense because you're getting influenced by emotions, not by motivations, right? And now both those two are an emotion, but motivation should just go above an emotional, objective. You want to be as productive as possible, rather productive as possible, whether you feel emotional or not. Very emotional, independent, I must say. Don't be independent of the emotions. Great, great clips. Good snip here and there. I like that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'm gonna really appreciate it. If you guys likes the video, let me know. If you guys didn't like the video, let me know as well.